Monster Hunter Wilds first trailer. Boy, oh boy. It's been a while since I feel my blood boils from an excitement from a video game. From Monster Hunter Wild first trailer, I think this game, as of now, is within my expectation on what they should do with modern Monster Hunter game. For the past months, or even years before Wilds was announced, I've been talking about the future of Monster Hunter games and what kind of things we're expecting from Monster Hunter as a franchise moving forward. I've been talking about monster and environment interactions, smaller monsters' presence to be more felt, and there's some kind of hierarchy that needs to be established with each locale. And then I also talk about smaller monsters ganging up on big monsters, medium-sized monsters traversing in packs, how the weapon should evolve as the monsters' animations and movements also evolve, and so on and so on. All of this points towards one design philosophy, to make the world of Monster Hunter to be more than just an action game fighting on monsters, but rather a world with complex structure of survival of the fittest, thanks to many unique species, complex environment, and even how the hunters and Elder Dragon affects the ecosystem. This kind of things that makes Monster Hunter is a special game with a crazy amount of immersion, which is why I think many games try to make a Monster Hunter-like game, but it doesn't capture as many audiences because many of them doesn't have the same amount of immersion that Monster Hunter have. And now let's talk about Wilds again. With the first Wilds trailer, I feel very reassured that developers know what they're doing with the game, and also what kind of expectation the Monster Hunter fans have for the game. Most of the stuff that I mentioned above in the introduction have been implemented in this trailer, which is quite surprising. Maybe I have a knack for designing a game too, huh? This is KKaceh, and today we're going to take a look at the new trailer of Monster Hunter Wilds and try to analyze the implication of each details from the trailer. There's a lot of details that can be analyzed here, so if I have missed something, do leave it in the comment section so that I become aware of it and others will become aware of it as well. And also do leave a like and subscribe, as I'm still planning to make a lot of content for Monster Hunters as I did in the past, since lately I'm only covering a lot of gacha game videos. But I digress, let's just get into the trailer. The first frame, we're already seeing a ship on a desert. Those who have played Monster Hunter 3 and 4 would recognize it immediately as a similar ship that we used during the hunt of Jen and Darren Moran. Those who don't know, Darren and Jen Moran are some kind of siege battles that has multiple phases, and these kind of battles are usually always the highlights of a Monster Hunter experience in the older games. If Monster Hunter Wilds is going to be an open world, as of now we don't know if you can operate the ship as a mean of transportation, or is it only cutscene exclusive, or is it going to be available for siege battle only like the Morans. And then we get to hear the Palico speaking, which is kinda adorable, but personally I'm going to default to Monster Hunter language, so I'm looking forward to hear how they sound outside just their usual Palico meowing sound.
This is gonna be great!
You bet.
Also, it seems like our character is able to speak as well instead of just nodding and grunting. I wonder though, will the voice made with AI or several voice actors will record the lines? I'm quite curious the details of this part of the development, honestly. And then we're meeting some new characters here. Their facial expression and skin texture is a lot better and less cute to see compared to Rise for sure. And as we see here, I think Wilds will be another story-focused Monster Hunter since there's some flashback involved. And then we're seeing the desert locale. This gives me the old Monster Hunter vibe with a very spacious desert that usually gives this very gloomy atmosphere. And then there's an oasis. If monsters have complex behavior in this game, we can expect to see different kind of monsters around the oasis on different time, but that's too early to speculate. And here, that looks like a new monsters. I can't tell what their species is from this distance, so we'll have to wait a bit more until it shows up again later. Then we're moving to the shot of a little bit of grassland. I'm curious how they are going to connect the vast desert with this more lively area. And then we're moving to this shot. We can see the character also riding the mount next to us. So I would assume that maybe we will have the NPC companion system like from the Monster Hunter Rise. I really hope so, because I might end up playing solo again. And then we're seeing the Karatanoth. which most likely going to be the new herbivore. But what's so great about this particular shot is that they are able to load a lot of more monsters in the map. And this way I think herbivores can be more aggressive while they're on a pack, and predators need to be more careful since they could be attacked by the herd. Also, the big Ceratonaut with the spike might be the alpha and able to act as a lightning rod, much like what we saw in the teaser trailer. And then we see this scene shot from the same angle, but different lightings and looks different as well. The first one has more vegetations and the other one has more sands. From what we know, probably this means that there's going to be some kind of environmental change from time to time, perhaps due to the weather effects. And then we see this awesome scene of some kind of alligator attacking a gastrodon-like monsters. That means we're going to see more small monster interactions and more dynamic environments. So we can expect to see some weird but unique things happening each time we go hunting. Probably we can find some corpses littering around as we casually explore the region. I can already imagine that many people are just going around the locale and observe what is happening around there. At least I would do it. Then we get to see a ghost Haraka-like monster. One looks different from the others, so I would assume that will be the alpha. Maybe I even have a different name.
Now to lead it away from the pack, we'll make for the desert.
And here, we're talking about leading them away from the pack. So monsters will go in group now, and you need to be more crafty with your approach, as you might not want to go hunt the monsters solo while the pack is there. And this scene is so sick. We get to use some kind of hook to grab a stone or slinger ammo on the ground. And if luring is a big part of the hunting experience, this particular function will be very helpful. But how are we going to have a good control over this, since aiming while mounting is not easy? I guess we will have to wait and see for that. And then we trigger the environmental traps, much like how we did back in World. And good things, Slinger is back, baby. And then the sandstorm occurs. I would say this is one of the environmental events that is happening all around the locales. Maybe this is what triggers the environmental change from before, like more sands on the area. We'll have to wait and see for that as well. If sandstorm happens here, maybe floods in different region, or maybe even snowstorm in snowy region. This part is just a cutscene. Then the fight begins. From what I can see, the great sword drawing animation is a lot faster than the usual animation, and the dodging seems a lot smoother too. This one is freaking cool. A big monster tossing a smaller monsters. It reminds me of how Devil Joe grabs the great Jagras in its mouth. That means there's more interaction between smaller monsters and big monsters. And I wonder how many monsters out there that actually have a special movesets depending whether they have smaller monsters near them or not. And then that's the monster we saw at the beginning. It looks kinda cool. It's not a dragon, that's for sure, but if I have to guess, the species is most likely an amphibian, like a Tetranodon. The monster's movement flows very smoothly. I really like it. And then you can hear this whistling sound as you get knocked back, and then your mount comes over. This is a very cool recovery, but whether we can call it back when we get knocked back or before the knockback, we need more details for that. Because if you can even call them during the knockback animation, it's kinda too OP. And then we see a pack of Velociraptor looking monsters attacking the big monsters. This is what I talk about in my older videos on how smaller monsters in a pack can still overwhelm a bigger monster. I would love to see how this particular interaction is triggered though. Is there a prerequisite amount of monsters for this event to trigger? Or does it have to be in a specific location? I'm very curious. And now we're back being chased by a pack consisting of 3 large monsters. And you can see this is going to be a hell to do some hunting. Since fighting one monster is already tough, we're dealing with 3 at once. So I'm really curious how it's done in a real play environment. Since with 3 monsters, things get chaotic really fast back in older Monster Hunter. And now we're seeing a very important gameplay elements. We can see that we are switching weapons while on the mount, and we're able to attack on the mount as well. Right now, whether we can swap melee and gun weapon only, or we can swap any weapons, I would assume we can swap any weapons that we want, but I'm really curious about the finer details for that as well. Can we bring 2 different great swords with different elements? Next, we finally see some of the weapon movesets from the greatsword and the bowgun. Personally, I really like how faster greatsword is. because if we're slow as older game, there's no way we can handle 3 monsters at once. The Great Sword stance is awesome, since we can do more than just charging attacks, which is something that Great Sword really needs for a modern game. And I'm also really curious how other weapons has evolved as well. The hit sound effect very satisfying, very well done for the sound team here. And we get to see the SOS system is back. If this is an open world, where the players are gonna come from? Are they gonna teleport, or they also exist in the same lobby or something like that? Curious. And finally, we're ending with a very cool shot here. I don't think this is a moveset, or is it more like an interaction between weapons that can guard against specific attacks? But the one that comes to my mind is more like a QTE that will prompt on a specific attacks. But if that's the case, we have so many weapons available in the game at the moment, like 14 of them. Does it mean different weapons will have different QTE resolve when this specific monster does this specific attack? Very curious how this can be achieved. And then the release window of 2025. This game doesn't seem like it's done yet. I think there's still more that needs to be done in order to make it fully playable. If I want to speculate, it will come either summer 2025 or winter 2025. It is a prime time to release a game, especially for the holidays. So far, the game seems like has changed a lot from the usual Monster Hunter, even from Monster Hunter World and Monster Hunter Rise. I'm assuming this is going to be open world once again, and I'm really looking forward to their full gameplay trailer with all the UIs and no cutting in between. So there's still a lot of surprise waiting for us for the next few trailers, especially if the whole world is dynamic. And maybe we will even get a first full hand-on experience during the Summer Game Fest. Apparently, currently there's an article explaining some of the things that we saw in the trailer. I'm going to take a look at that later and make another video for it perhaps. Anyway, thanks for watching. Leave your impression in the comment section. And what kind of thoughts you have after seeing this trailer? I'm very curious to see people's reaction. And what are their expectations for Monster Hunter Wilds after seeing this trailer. Until the next video, stay sharp, hunters.